On this AVNation special, we're coming to you live from Crestrons Masters 2021, talking to the residential side of the Crestron Programmers Group. All that and more next on this AVNation special.
The network for the AV industry.
What are you listening to?
This
is AV.
This
is AVNation.
This is AVNation.
This is an AVNation special, Crestrons Masters 2021 Residential. This is an AVNation special. My name is Tim Albright, your host. We are live, sort of, recording this at Crestrons Masters 2021, the biggest collection of Crestron programmers in the world. It's been going on for over 20 years. With us today to talk about some of the residential side and some of the residential announcements happening today. First and foremost, Mr. John Clancy from Crestron. Welcome, sir.
Hey, Tim. How are you?
I am well, sir. I am well. Good to see you. Also with us, an old friend of this program and this network, Mr. Todd Anthony Puma from the Source Home Theater. Welcome, sir.
Hey, thanks for having me, Tim. I appreciate this.
Absolutely, absolutely. Also with us, a couple of gentlemen that I just got to meet. First is Dugesh Sin from Nucleus across in UK. Welcome, sir.
Hi, Tim. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And Al Reinert. Al is from AHT Global down by Miami Way. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Tim.
So, John, we'll start with you on this. This is your party. This is kind of your day. Take me back 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago, to when you guys first announced Crestron Home. Crestron has been in home automation and in home theaters for a number of years. Crestron Home was kind of a new evolution, a new innovation for the company. What has been the success from your perspective of the last couple of years since Crestron Home was released?
I would say it's the adoption rate of the platform since we launched. We are ahead of expectations. In fact, 2 weeks ago, we just shipped our 20,000th Crestron Home system, and in a relatively short time, 15, 16 months since we launched. So I think that and talking about the scale of that and how that's been adopted by our dealer base. Again, in this channel, people are leery, rightfully so, to try new things. But I think Crestron's history and building a quality product, right? Again, this is something that was built off of the existing product base, right? So they're not trying new touchscreens, new dimmers, new keypads, new devices. It's a platform that allows them to use our existing product line, but deploy it in a way faster, way more streamlined way, as well as deliver a really high quality user experience.
How important was it for you guys to start off of that Crestron base, that platform, to help the dealers, like the folks here online here, to scale their systems and also scale their business?
That was super critical, right? I mean, I think Crestron's known for building high quality products that last a really long time. So I think that initial focus on upping our game in terms of the industrial design quality of the user interfaces. So it started a few years ago with our Horizon thermostats, and then our current line of touch handheld remotes, and then our current line of 70 series touchscreens. Building products that look like they belong in the spaces in which they end up, and then focusing on Crestron Home, right, to ease that deployment. That concept of sitting in someone's basement with a laptop for days or weeks to try and get a system functional, while also delivering a user experience that's intuitive and aesthetically pleasing, can be challenging for a lot of dealers. So, that was really the focus of what Crestron Home was all about.
Yeah. Todd, from that aspect, how do you take, or how did you take the idea of Crestron Home to your customers, and what was kind of the selling points of, like John said, you're no longer going to be sitting in their basement or in their closet for a couple of weeks trying to get their system to work. How did you bring that to market?
I think once it came to play, because when I first started, it was Crestron programming, simple windows. The classic nature of Crestron itself was endless hours just alone to get to standards with the knowledge, right? Everything with Crestron's about knowledge. But I think that coming from the simple side, where you're relying and trusting on others, to come to where it developed as Crestron Ping as a sub category area, I was excited about it. It was one of the most exciting things that the industry had to offer, because when I'm newer to Crestron and I was going all the struggles where, am I good enough? Am I able to handle this? Can I do this? Is my knowledge where it needs to be? Am I always going to have to rely on a programmer to get myself up to par? And then when Ping came out, it started giving me confidence. When I walked into a customer's home, I wind up knowing the inside outs of what Crestron could do. Okay, it could do the lighting control. I could do X, Y, and Z with the lighting control. Then suddenly from there, Crestron Home came, and the adoption it grew. Now I was able to offer audio and video. Then it expanded even more. We have extensions that could be offered now. So that means that anything like before, you could put your mind to, you could develop with a third party, but they're giving you the software, internally putting it in there, testing it, and then giving it to use with your customers. With that, it's built even more confidence, because when you walk into a project, there's two things you always need to do. Number one, eat the groceries, live with the product, know its limitations. Number two, don't be afraid of trying new things. Only be afraid of putting in your customer's house for the first time and not living with it. That's one of the advices I give to a lot of dealers. When it comes to your knowledge, comes to what you know, and comes to what you can do with Crestron Home, I believe, and this is a big statement, I believe Crestron Home now can do anything. What the Crestron Classic software could do, there's only limitations. You don't want to give the customer more they can chew. The customer wants it to work. If they want it to work, Crestron Home has given us that, and people like John Clancy, who come from the industry, who came from the installation side, who understand what the customers actually want. Okay, John's not no politician, he's one of us. And what he does is he's brought a lot to the table.
Yeah, John has some interesting install stories himself, and if you ever get him cornered, just trust me, buy him a drink and get some of those stories out of him. Durgesh, talk for a second about this last year, right? We're obviously coming out of a pandemic. Last year was difficult for a lot of folks. Residential, though, it was interesting. You guys and gals were able to kind of leverage what you've known in the past of homes and what the clients need and want, but also able to kind of bring in some of those commercial sides, especially using Crestron's 5,000 different product lines or 5,000 different products to help the folks that your clients work from home during this pandemic, and then obviously coming out of it, helping them transition back to working, in an office.
Yeah, I mean, through the pandemic, the main thing that it's given everyone is value for the space at home and for what they use that space for. It's no longer just this time around work. It's your workspace, your home space, your entertainment space, your social space when we were allowed to be outside and barbecue. So the whole portfolio of Crestron products really fell into that. We've got all the video conferencing stuff that we had deployed. We had clients asking us, can we have a video conferencing room in our house? Can you put video conferencing in our home office? With outdoor speakers was massive increase. People wanting outdoor TVs. Therefore, there's a connection to NVX and DM going outdoors. All of that leveraged it. And now people really value what we do and what they spend in their home because they spend so much more time with it and interact with this stuff all the time. And hopefully it stays like that for a long time to come.
Yeah. I'll talk for a second about some of the new innovations that Crestron has made. One of the things that we're hearing about today is a new thermostat. And John mentioned the fact of making sure that the products that they design, not only from a technology standpoint, they work, but also they fit into the home. How important is that, and how do you get that feedback between you, your clients, and getting it back to the folks at Crestron to kind of complete that cycle?
Well, the big thing, design is what we sell down here, especially in Florida. All the designers are looking for something beautiful on the wall. I mean, if they could get nothing in the wall, that's their preference. But if you have to see it, so Crestron's made great strides with all their products. Their new touch panels, their new thermostats. These are design elements, their new Horizon keypads. These are the design elements that the designers are really looking for. And so we've been very fortunate that when we start presenting these options, they just buy into it right away because they see how beautiful it is. And it's the look that they are actually coming up with. This is what's very popular here in South Florida. So in the condos, so now instead of just hiding a thermostat, which is what we typically do, now with the new Horizons, we're going to be able to put it on the wall, and people are going to be able to enjoy it.
John, I want you to kind of pull on that thread a little bit from Al's perspective, from your guys' point of view. How do you get some of the design feedback from the clients, from the end users, from the homes, the condos, or wherever else you're putting it in, and get that back to your team?
Well, look, a lot of it comes from feedback from our dealers, like the three gentlemen you have on the show today. But a lot of it also is just historical. I mean, look, one of the things that I pledged when I came on board here was that we were going to try and be more dealer focused. And what do dealers want? They want things that are easier to sell and things that are going to fit into the spaces at which they end up in. And that ties into things like Crestron Home, and again, simplifying deployment, creating a great user experience, building products that look and work the way they should in these spaces, and that's really been the focus.
All right. I want to kind of focus on something else here, really quick, John. We'll stay with you on this and get the guys' 2 cents on this. You mentioned some of the other aspects of this week, and that is, you've announced in previous your partnership with Origin Acoustics, high quality speakers, also the new DM NAX. Talk for a second about the importance of high quality audio, but a high quality distributed audio for the residential market.
So DM NAX is something that has been years in the making. It may seem from the outside we may be a little late to this game, but because we really wanted to nail it right. So NAX is unlike any other product on the market. The way it integrates to DM NVX is unique. The fact that I can use an NVX encoder for my video source, and if I choose the right one, I can still get multi-channel audio where I need it and 2-channel audio where I need it, right? So that the room with 2 speakers in the ceiling can still get the sound quality it deserves without any additional connections. You're pulling it off the network, right? Secondarily, the quality of the amplifier was something that I wasn't personally focused on, but when I got my alpha system at home at my house, I was blown away. I kind of expected it to be there, but I was really surprised because my personal focus has really been on the feature set. And the feature set of having streaming services built into every single zone, being able to expand the system, and again, scalability is really the key. With a lot of other systems out there, you're stuck at a certain number of inputs or a certain number of outputs. This is fully scalable. 256 zones is what we're going to test to, or what we're testing to now, but there theoretically is no limit. And I think that speaks volumes about what we were focused on while designing this product. The concept of the streaming services in every single zone, or the concept of having one user interface. When I go to my web UI to configure this thing, right? If I have 7 of them on my system, I'll go to one web page, and it'll put them all together on one screen. I don't have to go to 7 different places to configure all of my zones. And the fact that that'll be a mobile-friendly web UI is that I can sit in the room I'm in and configure that zone exactly the way I need it. So and there's so much more. I'm not talking about. There are probably 20 features that are baked into this product. We can spend the rest of the time just talking about it, but those are the really big ones to me.
Todd, I want you to kind of continue that conversation. Though one of the aspects that Jurgesh mentioned is that folks have spent more and more time at home this year. This is one of those aspects that people have realized. I'm spending more time. I'm investing more in my home, and one of those aspects is kind of upgrading their audio system. How important has this development from Crestron been for you guys?
Well, we're going to talk about the time amount that we were spending in people's homes. People don't want you in their homes as long as they used to, right? It's kind of like there's a lot going on. They're working from home. Schooling's going on from home. And, the reality of the matter, there's some risk as us being there. So with products like NVX and NAX, you talk about the amount of time of the labor that is being put into it. John didn't bring up the one good point about NVX and NAX combination, which is a match made in heaven, is the wiring. There's going to be a lot less wiring that's needed. A lot less wiring means that money is being saved, labor is being saved, and then the customer, in my eyes, could invest into more technology in Crestron. With the ecosystem that's being put into place is the Crestron ecosystem. So you don't have to worry about anything on the third-party aspect or something going wrong, which John was touching base on is the media streamers. One of the biggest failures that we have on site is relying on one of the two that is being used. And I won't say Sonos or Autonomics on this call, but I don't have trust in them. I want a company that's going to have everything built in and baked into this one box. And I'm extremely excited about the NAX coming out, being put in, because I know for a fact it's going to increase our revenue. It's also going to take away a little bit of the headaches that we might have had before with the streaming services.
Jurgesh, I want to get your perspective as being somebody who's not North America, but more in the UK and the European side. When you start looking at what folks are putting in and the different types of streaming services and the different types of distributed audio, what are you seeing from your clients, and is what the North American kind of market, does that match with you guys? Are you somewhere different?
100%. I mean, I echo a lot of what Todd has just said. We got the two devices that are currently compatible with Crestron Home, and for the same reasons that he's mentioned, the sooner we can get rid of them, the better. Cable cutting, as Todd mentioned, is massive. It's time, but it's also fault finding and problems. Have you got a bad RCA cable? Has it got noise on it? Interference? All those problems. Like Todd said, it's just time and reputation, and it just leaves you knowing that when you've walked out that door, you have not got those problems. You're not going to have those types of problems that you maybe historically could have had. So that this product is massive. The speakers, in addition to the audio product, also is huge. They partner up with Origin, which is an amazing brand. The way those speakers go in, we've installed them before, is amazing. We did a project with a house full of speakers, just the grills, no speakers, just the grills and the baskets. And the client didn't have the budget to put all the speakers in. He goes, "Oh, next year we'll put the speakers in." I said, "Okay." He gave me a call in a month's time and said, "I'm staring at these speakers knowing they're not speakers. Let's put the speakers in." I said, "All right, let's put the speakers in." It's an amazing sales tool. And we didn't even create one bit of dust when we did it, because baskets were up there, grills were up there, and we just put the speaker in and rotated it. And that was it. And within a day, we had audio. So it's going to be a big game changer for Crestron, both those things in combined conjunction.
I want to point out the fact that you guys just gave you guys an incredible sales tool right there, and that right there is his TED Talk. That's all there is. That's worth the price of admission here. Al, I want you to wrap up this conversation about the audio here, and you talk for a second about those partnerships. When people think of Crestron traditionally, like 10, 20 years ago, they thought of control, right? They thought of control because that was their bread and butter. They were the control, kind of Goliath. When you start talking about audio for Crestron, what is some of the areas that you're able to highlight where they're able as good or better than some of the competitors in the home market?
Well, I think the biggest thing is when you're talking to a client, and yes, Crestron is the control company, but it's more about you're giving somebody a complete solution, end to end. So I'm selling them the Crestron control system. I'm selling them the NVX, which does their video, their NAX, which now does their audio, their thermostats. So basically, I give them a very seamless experience using one brand. What does that do for them? Well, they're going to realize that everything on that app, and that app is key, because I was just at a client's home right now. I did a system about 6 years ago. I showed it to him, and he was like, "Wow, do it." I said, "Well, I can't do it right now because I'm super busy." But he's like, "Let's go," because he realizes that the experience is seamless using all the products.
Al also just gave you another sales tool. Tell them you're busy and too busy for them, and then they'll pay you more money. So,
That's the truth.
John, let's wrap this up here and talk about Masters for a second. That's what we're doing here this week. You mentioned the fact that even as a residential programmer and dealer, you came to Masters 20 years ago. That it was all about programmers. Over the last couple of years, though, you guys have added it to more and more. Talk to these three gentlemen here. Talk to other residential dealers about why Masters is important for them and their business.
So it's funny, 20 years ago, I actually came to the building I'm in right now as a programmer for the first Masters, right? And there were, I think, maybe 20 of us in the classroom. And watching it evolve over the following decades to what it's become, this almost, I hate to use the term, but almost cult-like gathering, right? When you go to Masters in person, again, this year is virtual, but when you go to Masters in person, you'll see guys walking around with backpacks from Masters 2003 or whatever year it was, or shirts. There was one gentleman last year who had his stack of badges from all of the years he's been present. So it started off as this really programming-centric event, but a few years ago it evolved into where we opened up things around technology architecture, right? So how to design your Crestron system using all of our products. Again, I mentioned before, 4,000 plus SKUs. It can be daunting, to say the least, for someone from the outside who is not familiar with all of our products and how best to integrate them, how best to use them. And this year, for the first time, we're opening up it even further, right? So programming first, and then we added in technology architect, and this year we're focusing on sales. So we're opening that up. And on the residential side, which is obviously under my purview, it's really centric around Crestron Home. How do you sell Crestron Home? what's the benefit? Why Crestron to begin with? And again, explaining that, teaching our dealers to how to have those conversations, how to advise a customer. As Al just said, he showed them the app, but anyone can download the app and run it in demo mode and try it on their own. So all of these little things that add up to what's happening out there, where our dealers are first, getting customers coming in asking for Crestron Home because they heard of it or they've seen it someplace else. But continuing, again, as Al points out, how to sell the whole solution, right? Because all of those products are designed and engineered to work seamlessly together. Yes, we integrate to many, thousands of other third-party products, but that whole focus around all of our products working, designed to work and seamlessly exist together is really the big message.
All right. Todd, what are you hoping to pull out of this week when it comes to either, like John said, how to sell Crestron Home, or is it, more the engineering side and the programming side?
I just like to find out about the inner workings of the newer products that are coming out, what they're going to be able to do, what the limitations are, how it's going to be implemented into Crestron Home, how soon will it be in our customers' hands, and obviously, to find out what else is happening around the ecosystem of Crestron that's outside of Crestron Home, and see what they're developing, because sometimes on the classic side, they develop a little bit quicker, and then it's the trickle-down effect. So I'll just keep on pushing John until we get that into our Crestron Home system.
I think that was more of a promise than a threat, Clancy. So, Durgesh, same kind of question. What are you hoping to pull out of this week?
Yeah, I would love to learn more about the audio product. We haven't had hands-on with it yet because it's imminent. So love to know as much as we could about it so we can start speccing into every project possible and learning about more where Crestron Home's going and what's going to be possible with it. Like we talked about earlier, Todd mentioned, I think, extensions. Already we've seen amazing things done, but I think that's just the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot more that's going to evolve to, and we're going to bridge that gap to the custom side. And we just want to be at the leading edge of that, so we keep pushing the boundary on it.
Absolutely, Al. I know that we caught you at a client site, and you are quite busy. But even busy weeks like this, you need to step down and get some, continue the education. So, what are you hoping to take away from Masters this week?
Pretty much like Todd and Durgesh, but more importantly for me is my team. So I got my whole team involved. Every one of my sales guys is going to be doing the courses, so I kind of mandated it for the whole company. So that to me is going to be the big thing. How do I get my team members heavily involved?
Yeah, absolutely. And that incredibly smart from a business standpoint, a business owner standpoint, is mandating some of this education. Absolutely. John, thank you guys so much. Thank you all. Mr. Clancy, one thing that we did hear in the fireside chat from Mr. Randy Klein is that Crestron will be returning to the in-person CEDIA expo this year, come the first week of September, so we'll see you there. If somebody wants to connect with you or Crestron between now and then, how do they do that?
jclancy@crestron.com, or look me up on LinkedIn. It's pretty easy to find.
John, there's a couple John Clancy's, but he's the most handsome one. So, Mr. Todd Puma, thank you, sir. How do people connect with you or The Source Home Theater?
They could connect with me on Twitter at Todd Anthony Puma, or they could reach me on my email at todd@thesourcehometheater.com.
All right, very good. Durgesh, very nice to meet you, sir. I appreciate it. How do people connect with you or Nucleus?
Yeah, we're on LinkedIn as Durgesh Singh, myself, or Nucleus on our website, www.nucleusav.com. Just drop us a line.
All right, very good. Al, we'll have you wrap up here. How do people connect with you or AHT Global?
So you can reach me on my website, www.ahtglobal.com. Personally, you can get me at al@ahtglobal.com.
All right, very good. Thank you all so much. For us, for AVNation, go by our website, avnation.tv. That's avnation.tv. You'll find programs like this and a host of others, including the commercial side of this conversation we'll be having with some folks on the commercial side of Crestron. So all that and more at avnation.tv. It's avnation.tv.